Richard Carr, welcome to the Henhouse.
It's a pleasure to be here in the Henhouse, although I consider myself a rooster.
What's it like being a New Age pianist?
You'd have to ask my namesake, Richard Carr, the New Age pianist, who's a very nice guy, and I've communicated with him a few times since we are often confused on various media like Spotify and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Got it. Are you ever confused for a Renaissance dance form, the Richard Carr?
Oh, the Richard Carr, yes. No one has ever confused me with a Richard Carr, but I do appreciate the similarity and sound of the name, yes.
Is that a fiddle I see you underneath your armpit?
That's correct. I do that too. Yes, this is.
And sometimes you play it and sometimes you tell other people what to play. Is that
That's
your
correct,
composer?
yes. Of course, on my new CD, on Neuma Records, I do tell other people to do it. Mostly, it's a departure from what I often do, which is improvised music or music that is digitally composed. This, in fact, is old-fashioned notes on a page.
How do you reconcile those two halves of the brain, those composer, improviser? You know, sometimes you're making it up on the spot, sometimes you're preconceiving the structures and things.
Right. Structure. Does it come before process, or does process come before structure? This is the ultimate question, isn't it? So, I learned music as something that you work from a structure first, and then you create a process to make that music. So you start out playing this like this. And you come up with a process to get that in tune a little bit more. Maybe get your A a little higher. So you clean it up a bit, and that's the process. But what if you started just making notes, and then through process of elimination, through the playing of the music, you made your music? It could be actually a process that's just as rigorous and as adventurous as the other way. So, first of all, I learned the first way, structure, then process. That was true in jazz, which I played a lot of jazz too. You'd have a tune, you play the head, then you play over the changes, and then you'd have that. But later in life, as life went on, I get a bit bored with that. And I don't think that's not the way my brain works. And I think that's true for a lot of people. I have a doctorate in education, and the same idea resonates in that field as well. So some people like a structure from which they will happily answer the question on page 6 or whatever, everything kind of goes towards a test and a sort of structured curriculum. But I found that there are many students who actually don't learn very well that way. And you have to start with them. What do you know? And how can we add to that? And that, again, can be a very rigorous and meaningful process. So, I didn't make this stuff up. Emergent structure, they call it. Happens in business, too. As well it should.
I've heard that you like to take a walk now and then.
Correct. I do.
How do you structure those walks? Do you do some research beforehand? Do you plan some things? Do you improvise some things?
Both. All right. Often I change my mind in the process. So I guess there is a structure that comes from the process. I do have an idea to begin with, like I would with a piece. So I may say, like this last hike I did, I wanted to do a long section of the PCT. Well, turns out half of it's burning up there where I wanted to walk. So I changed my mind and went to California coast and did some hiking there. Went to Mount Shasta, and that was good. that adjustment had to be made. So with music, when I compose music, I usually just play a lot of things. And eventually, if I'm lucky, I come on something that maybe isn't too bad. And from that not too bad thing, I develop a piece without real consideration of form to begin with. And that form will emerge from that little piece that I started with. That I started with playing, got my little ideas and let it do it like that. But I never follow any kind of traditional music form at all.
The title of this album is Over the Ridge. Now, as you're driving across the country, as you're walking towards ridges, do you consider the possibilities of what might be over that ridge? Is that what this album is about?
I sure as hell do, yes. They're the kind of people I like to associate with, those people who have that curiosity. Now, unfortunately, again, I'm referring to the process of education, a lot of people get that beaten out of them, right? That curiosity, that imagination. So on this album, I tried to select musicians who I knew had that same imagination and curiosity as an element to their otherwise very astonishing training, and so they had both elements to create music. So they were able to realize the written music, but they were also able to improvise. And they were the right kind of musicians to do that with. So I could just point at one of them and say, okay, play something. And they'd come up with something brilliant immediately. And then bring another one in and they'd have something brilliant too. Most of the time. Nobody's brilliant all the time, I suppose.
Well, you've got a fiddle in your hand. Do you want to play it? Or anything else you'd like to add? What frame of mind should we be in as we listen to your music? Should we prepare in any particular way, like pack a power bar, drink lots of hydration?
I think you should open up your imagination and your curiosity and find what you will in it. Like looking at a painting. There's no right way to respond to it.
Sounds good to me.
Good enough.
It sounds good to everybody else. Thank you, Richard Carr.
Well, thank you.